a little better. All right. And there we go. Okay. Hi there. Welcome, everybody, once again to Cast Iron Wednesday, which, of course, is a tradition that that many of the smaller YouTube cooking channels have been doing now on Wednesdays, at least most Wednesdays, for going on for the past several years at least, and that certainly includes this channel right here. So thank you very much for everybody who's been kind enough to tune in tonight. Yeah, do a cast iron video. While we try to do one regularly on Wednesdays. I do know that I kind of missed it a couple of weeks back, but I've been doing my best to keep regular nonetheless. At my age, it's a good idea to keep regular. And nonetheless, here it is, the end of July, where the temperature is hot once again. Apparently the hot weather is going to break here in New York tonight. I managed to get my cat in for the night, thank goodness, so that when we get a lot of rain tomorrow, she will not be caught out in it. And more importantly, we are here to play with some cast iron tonight. So yes, we are going to be fooling around with a big cast iron wok and using it to make something that you normally don't use a wok for, and that would be Jamaican jerk chicken. So with any luck, this is going to be an interesting evening. And thank you once again, as I said, to everybody who has been kind enough to show up here tonight. And I'd like to say hello to the folks here, to Greg Hart and Clico and Fuzzfork 8 and Greg Hart and Rocket Caver and Fuzzfork 8 and Greg Hart. And Rich Qualls and hello Flash 1499. Rich Qualls watching from Southern California. And yeah, the shirt, well, yeah, I've actually had this for a little while, so I figured it would be appropriate. And there are, of course, a number of our regulars on this channel who, including Corey Clark. I understand Val's Cat's Rule needs to run an errand tonight, but that, of course, is how it goes. And hello as well to RT Scott and a number of other regulars as well here. As I said, we're going to be doing some jerk chicken tonight. I have had the chicken marinating in the fridge for the past few hours, but in addition to that, I'm putting together some additional jerk sauce to use in the wok. So that's the first thing we're going to be doing tonight. Nonetheless, as you know, the live chat here is open pretty much for discussion for folks who are interested in just that, chatting about cast iron. And that includes, of course, asking and answering questions in regards to either a cast iron wok or your favorite cast iron skillet or Dutch oven cooking, since this is certainly the time of year for it. Pretty much, we do just about anything related to cast iron. And hello, Mudbrooker. It's a good day. Just finished an online auction and won an 1878 flop griddle and a Valrat chicken fryer. Whoa, congratulations. And that doesn't seem like too bad of a price. I'm not sure what you mean by flop griddles. You mean one of those hanging griddles? Is that the kind that you're talking about? Okay, well, I certainly hope that that there's a good identifying mark on that. Okay, as I said, okay, yes, and the channel also, Mudbrooker, I agree. Before we get started, let's see your new drip drop roaster. Well, okay, yeah, largely because I still have it here in the sink, and this thing has been turning out to be a real pain to clean up. So, in fact, I'm going to start taking some drastic measures this weekend. But you're referring to this, that much I know, which is, in fact, it's an aluminum pot, no less that I acquired at the New York Route 90 highway yard sale only a few days ago on Sunday, in fact. This is, in fact, a vintage Wagner, but the best way to identify that would be because of the lid here. I mean, this is really what tipped me off that this is, in fact, a pretty vintage aluminum roaster here. It has the markings, of course, of a Wagner pot. And it's a good thing I noticed the lid because, as I said, this thing is so encrusted on the bottom here that so far it has resisted my attempts really to clean this thing up. Besides that viral video hack that I tried doing the other night, just within the past 24 hours, I have tried using barkeeper's friend, and easy off oven cleaner on this. And while it does look like a few flecks of this buildup on the bottom have come off, this thing is pretty darn stubborn, not to mention some major staining on the inside. So because of this, I've decided my next step is, as I said, I'm going to take some drastic measures come this weekend. Hopefully, I'll be able to have the time on Saturday to do this. And we're going to see what happens when we run an aluminum Dutch oven through electrolysis. And that is probably going to be an interesting project in itself. Mudbrooker, it has a rectangular griddle hinged to a three-compartment griddle. Oh, I know what you're talking about now. I've seen those things, those restaurant griddles. That's what you meant by flop griddle. That's right. It's got the flat part and it's got the probably like three or maybe four individual they look like, yeah, in fact, usually it looks like you make pancakes or waffles with them. Yes, and you flop it over. I do know exactly what you're talking about there. So that was indeed quite a score, and I can only hope you get quite a bit of use out of that. Buy some carbon off. It works great. Well, I might have to do that. But yeah, copper is a pain to clean. Well, this is aluminum. And so far, this has been the toughest thing I think I've ever had to clean. So yeah, well, if you're saying carbon off may work on that, I might have to give that a try within the next day or so. Because the whole point of this is that well, obviously, it's a nice vintage aluminum pot, and so I certainly do want to get at least another 100 years use out of this, if at all possible. But okay, yeah, copper is a pain to clean. You've definitely made some progress on that roaster. Well, made some progress, but not nearly as much progress as I would have liked. And hello to Jim Glatar from Steamy, Northwest Connecticut. Yeah, well, apparently this heat is going to be breaking tonight. We're going to be having a couple of days of apparently decent weather, in fact. Here in Binghamton, New York, Speedy Fest is taking place this weekend. You know, the huge outdoor festival that they have here in Binghamton, New York, that probably compares to the National Cornbread Festival. I'm not sure which one came first. I understand Speedy Fest has been going around for about 50 years or so, and it recently merged with another big festival called Balloon Fest. And we have an attendance of something like anywhere between 50,000 to 100,000 people here in Binghamton for Speedy Fest. So yeah, it's a huge outdoor festival, and best of all, the weather again this weekend is going to be picture perfect. So I can only hope folks have a lot of fun there. But all right, I'm surprised the blue cap easy off didn't work. Yeah, I let it soak for an hour under the blue cap easy off, and as you saw, it really did not have that much of a an effect, unfortunately. So yeah, definitely have a project in front of me. Okay, but rather than waste time, I should say first of all, I do have the large cast iron wok heating up here on my stovetop while I prepare the marinade for this jerk sauce. So, yes, we are indeed going to be seeing some cast iron tonight, but right now, I've got a little bit of prep work to do here. So, which is really no more than just throwing the ingredients together. So let's move down here a little bit. And here's where, okay, this cast iron channel once again becomes a foodie channel because here I go playing with ingredients. But it's really no more than just mixing them all together. Some of which are fresh, some of which are unfortunately not fresh. Okay, all right. For starters, regrettably, and I'm kicking myself for this, I did not get some fresh thyme leaves. So this thing calls for about half a cup of fresh thyme leaves, and I found out the hard way that when you use the you use the dried stuff in replace as a replacement. I do not want half a cup of dried thyme leaves. That is way too intense. If anything, I probably only need about yeah, here it is. Probably only need about a tablespoon, I think, of the dried thyme to substitute for that because that's still a lot of thyme. There we go. Yeah, and now comes the jokes about having too much time on my hands, or I better be careful before I run out of time, etc., etc., etc. Yeah, they're funny jokes. Okay, and actually, let me move this over a little bit just so I can see comments, if any. Only because I'm using a Windows Notepad for these ingredients here. Right. Carbon off. I bought mine at an auto parts store. Yeah. Time for jerk sauce. Yes, exactly, Mudbrooker. Then to this, we got to start bashing up some garlic. So let's get this out. Do this as quickly, come on, as we can. Let's move it onto this side so you folks can see it. I like getting I'm not sure. Yeah, I believe this is the elephant garlic. I like getting these ones here that have the really, really big ugh, cloves to them. It makes it a little easier to smash them up. There we go. It mentions 10 cloves of garlic, and this should certainly be more than enough. So to this, it's time to crush the garlic. There we go. That wasn't so hard. And yeah, once I get all this in, I'm going to be using the immersion blender to mix it all together. So at least that way I won't have to waste too much time chopping up the fresh ingredients. Nonetheless, what I do have to do still is peel this garlic. But that is the reason why we crush it first. Makes it much easier. Okay. Supposed to make it much easier to do. Oh, come on. All right. Again, I promise I'm not gonna spend the next hour or hour and a half peeling garlic. I'm sure you folks would find that so exciting here. Jerk sauce, that doesn't sound right. Yes, indeed. You go ahead and make all the jerk jokes you want because, we've heard them all before. And yeah, I know. Jerk sauce, you can go on about how I'm really jerking around and once this goes into the meat, into the chicken, yeah, I'll say it once, even if I do get kicked off. Yeah, I guess I'm gonna be jerking my meat tonight. Ha 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 ha. Psh, yeah, whatever. Okay, so we go into a little bit of lowbrow humor tonight. We're all adults here. It's not like we're corrupting innocent children by using the occasional off-color joke here. That's generally not my style, but hey, once in a while, I mean, I'm still doing my best to be innocent. Okay, one last one, and I think I'll be done here if I can get this thing done. Yeah, yeah, remember that Steve Martin movie, The Jerk? In vaudeville, they had the hook for jokes like that. Yeah. Time for a garlic press. You have a point there. I had a garlic press and then didn't use it much, but I should really consider doing it, trying a garlic press again. Now my hands are a little sticky from the garlic. Let me just quickly rinse this off. Okay. With any luck, that was the hard part. Now from here, we've got to just chop up a few scallions. Well, that part isn't so hard, at least. Let's do this. Careful. It's been a few years since I've had an accident using my knife, and I just have to be careful so that it will still be a few years since I've had an accident. Meaning, take my time. Yeah, there's another time joke for you. Okay, so that takes care of our green onions. Clean all this up. Keep my workspace clean best as I can. All right. Now to this, we got about 8 to 10 grams of black pepper. Fortunately, I like using the rough ground stuff, not the powdered stuff, so I don't really need to use that much. And from there, sliced ginger. Okay, and here's the part where I mentioned this, I think it was just last week. I have lately been using ginger paste. And so far, this mentions, wow, two teaspoons. Is it teaspoons or tablespoons? I think it's it might be 2 tablespoons if I'm seeing this right. Apparently, a lot of ginger goes into this sauce. Okay, but so far, I have liked the result here, and that's probably enough since I'm using ginger paste. Yeah, again, I got this ginger paste at an Indian food store, and so far, again, it is done. It is done well. All right, okay, now here comes the peppers. The recipe calls for habanero peppers, but as you know, that if we're going to be doing genuine Jamaican jerk sauce, then that means we've got to go all the way and bring out the nukes, namely a Scotch bonnet pepper. I don't want to kill myself, so I think I will only use maybe a small amount of this Scotch bonnet. The rest of it I will put into the fridge. Put it back in that bag. And I had better not rub my eyes now that I've touched this thing. Shit. Not until I rinse and wash my hands off good again. Here are the seeds. Okay, let's get rid of the seeds. Yeah, definitely do not touch my eyes. Otherwise, I might have to call this video short. But here is our Scotch bonnet pepper. Oh, yeah, I saw that too. A fly. How nice. Welcome to summertime. I realize if this was a professional kitchen, it would probably be shut down if you actually saw a fly. Now, fortunately, this is not a professional kitchen, although I am rather annoyed about the fly. All right, get the scraper again. There it is. There it goes. That is probably going to be pretty darn intense. And now let me wash my hands off right now. Again, so that I don't have an accident with the residue from this Scotch bonnet. All right. What type of peppers are you using, Christopher Rice? Again, that's Scotch bonnet pepper, only part of one pepper. Dean Reedy. Well, if you're familiar with Scotch bonnet peppers, excuse me, I was about to sneeze. If you're familiar with Scotch bonnet peppers, that's really all I need, and I have to be sure I didn't use too much anyway. Ghost peppers would work well too. Yes, exactly. Christopher Rice, Scotch bonnet are close to the level of ghost peppers. They are pretty intense stuff. So if you seem disappointed that I only use that much pepper, trust me, that is really all we need. All right, quickly rinse this off. And now that we've done that, now we just need to get. Yeah, okay. I probably should dry this off again because I am going to be using a couple of more dry things. Namely, from here, we throw in about, it says here, 7 tablespoons of olive oil. All right. 7 tablespoons. That is just under half a cup, in fact. I mean, 4 tablespoons is a quarter cup. So that would mean we're, again, just under half a cup. 3/4. Here we are. Just under half a cup of olive oil. That's good because that is what is going to make our jerk sauce, as well as diluting the pepper. So there we go. Flop. cover the olive oil so there's no mistake or accident. And to this, we also do about 5 tablespoons of soy sauce. 5 tablespoons, huh? All right, so in other words, a little more than half of this half cup, a little more than a quarter cup here. And since I'm using especially dark, um, there we go, especially dark soy sauce because I like it, that will definitely make us some interesting jerk sauce here. Okay. Finally, mix this quickly. We're almost done with the ingredients here. Although now at this point, I need to start bringing up, it mentions a quarter cup, changes to a quarter cup now. Brown sugar. No, that's a third. Where's my quarter cup? Where is my quarter cup? Oh, there it is. Ugh, my bad for not keeping things in their place. 1/4 cup of brown sugar. Looks like it's about time to refill my brown sugar after this. Not a problem. I have done what I needed. To this. All right. Now we do 3. This can't be right. These can't be tablespoons, but I wish I had clarified that. Okay. Anyway, we've got ground allspice, ground cinnamon. No, I guess it is because, yeah, okay. 3 tablespoons of ground allspice. All right. Nope, that's nutmeg. I know I got it out. Here it is. Here is my allspice. As I said, I am going to be using the immersion blender on this. So let us throw in 1, 2. I think I'll just do 2 tablespoons of allspice, largely because I don't trust myself. And anyway, as you can see, I'm using the whole allspice here. Okay, 2 teaspoons of ground cinnamon. And it does say teaspoons, not tablespoons. So at least I'm pretty sure I do not have the measurements mixed up. Okay, Fuzz, my Tabasco peppers are off the chart heat-wise. Yes, exactly. Carolina Reapers are good peppers too. No one will try to steal them. Get a salt rifle made. Made to specifically eliminate flies. I get it. CO2, carbon dioxide. That's interesting. That's something I might have to consider. Here's 1, and here's 2 teaspoons of cinnamon. And then from here, we need about 2 teaspoons of fresh nutmeg, which means it's time to break out. Oops, don't want to. There we go. Don't want to break. Now that means I get to break out the microplane and quickly start. Do I have one? Here's one. Okay. Start grinding away. Here we go. I want to be sure folks can see this right. Grinding away on the microplane. I think I say this every time, so I hope I'm not boring anybody by saying once I started grinding my own nutmeg, I was a convert. Nutmeg in particular happens to be very easy to grind. As you can see, it doesn't take a lot of effort. It is very dry, so it does not put juice and seeds all over the place. And the flavor of hand ground nutmeg is much, much better than the stuff you buy in the store. Also, whole nutmeg really doesn't cost that much more than the stuff you buy in the store. So this is, I can smell that already. This is most definitely worth it. Almost done here. And after the nutmeg, I'm supposed to use lime juice, and here I have to substitute lemon juice, unfortunately. Regrettably, this is always one of those things where at the last minute, I discovered I did not have lime juice, which is something I'm going to have to take care of immediately. Okay. And this is the last ingredient, 4 tablespoons, which means another quarter cup. In this case, lemon juice. So there will definitely be plenty of liquid in this sauce. All right. And once we've done this, oh, it also mentions just a little bit more water. It says about 3 tablespoons of water, too, I guess to dilute it. So I have run a little bit of water in. Let's move my knife away so that there's no accident. Because now that we've done this, okay, good. Now that we've done this, time to break out the immersion blender, which means it's time to plug in the immersion blender. Once again, I'm trying not to be paranoid here, but I don't want any accidents. And that when it comes to immersion blenders, these things can be pretty sharp as well as pretty sensitive. Move this mouse out of the way too. All right, let us start doing a little bit of grinding here. And yet again, other than splashing a little bit, this immersion blender is working pretty good. Well, if this thing is splashing, I'm glad I'm wearing glasses because once again, this stuff does have the Scotch bonnet in it. So if I were to get this stuff in my eye, I would probably regret it. Also want to be sure I don't get any of it on the camera. And from here, let's dig out, rinse the splash residue off my hands. Scrape the sides just as if we were using a mixing bowl, because this kind of is a mixing bowl. And step 2. Just want to be sure there are no whole allspice berries in it. This takes care of all of that garlic too, as well as the other hard ingredients. A little bit stringy, but that's because again of the garlic. Last time, I hope. And yeah, jerk sauce, the real stuff, does indeed have this rather disgusting looking brown color to it. There is no denying that. Jerk sauce has a funny name and a disgusting color. Not to mention being spicy enough to really, if you're not careful, have an effect on your taste buds. Scrape this off one last time. And then let me run something through it to make sure it is properly blended. To be sure, let's dig out a fork. Oh, there are a few chunky pieces, but that's pretty much inevitable. On the whole, this does not look too bad. There we go. Which means we have jerk sauce. All right. And okay, let's wipe this up. Excuse me 1 second now. Last thing is I need to unplug the immersion blender, bring it over to the sink quickly, and just quickly run it under water. There we go. And that wasn't difficult at all. Immersion blender is nice and clean again. Okay, which means, ta-da, we have jerk sauce. All right, let me wipe this a little bit, catch up with these comments, and then it will finally be time to play with our cast iron. So thank you for waiting on all that. I might need this. Okay. I would only use gloves for the pepper. Hello, Val's Black Cat's rule. Okay, let's see what else we have. Strain it, maybe. Oh, I see what you're saying. Maybe I should strain it. Well, this is actually the sauce that's gonna go in the wok. So hopefully this should be good enough. Jimmy Langford, it's been a while, haven't been feeling good to get on the lives. Last surgery on my neck. Ouch. Well, I hope all are doing well. Okay, well, I hope everything's doing well, Jimmy Langford, that's for sure. Immersion blenders were a great invention, somewhere below elastic waistbands. Yes. Yeah, that jerk sauce also looks good. It would be good on pork. Oh, it most definitely is. There are a lot of Caribbean dishes as well that do use pork. Fresh nutmeg is the only way to go. Okay, fresh nutmeg equals great smell. Yes, it did. It did smell nice, that's for sure. Okay, I scored a 3 and a 5 BSNR Century Series this weekend. Oh, congratulations, Val. So it looks like you finally managed to score a BSNR after hearing about it all this time. So again, this is definitely a landmark for you, and congratulations. However, okay, now that we have wasted this much time here, let's go into the refrigerator. And yeah, there's another time joke. And get out the chicken, which, as I said, has been marinating in jerk sauce as well. And jerk sauce, as you can see, again, it is indeed thick stuff. It's definitely not a liquid. All right. I had to sneak them in the house. At least all this time, if nothing else, I have been heating up the cast iron wok, which means now at long last, that's what it's time to do now. Time to start the wok and roll. All right. Time spent cooking is never wasted. Okay. It looks like I have a little bit more residue to clean up, but not much more. Okay, good. Now that we've done that, that was the hard part. The easy part is coming up now, which is where we get to just simply take care of some chicken, and that is what I'm really looking forward to. This wok has been heating up at least since before the live started. So, according to the thermometer here, we are at searing temperatures. We are at over 500 degrees over a substantial portion of the wok. So that means we are ready to go. Yay. And that means think I'll actually start with a little bit of olive oil, not too much. And oh yes, one last thing. How could I forget? Since we every time I use a wok, I say the same thing. How great it is to use a wok shovel. And that's why I make sure to use one. This one is one have shown before. It's not my metal one. This is simply a wooden wok shovel that I've had for about 10 years or so. And this still does a great job because it is indeed in the right shape for the wok. At which point, it's really no more now than to start playing with some chicken. And so, in we go. Oh, and yeah, notice these are whole pieces of chicken too. I've got oh boy, 4 pieces of chicken, and I have 3 more after this, so there will be a second batch. Oh, wow, this is definitely smoking up already. Okay, yeah, I got the idea of using the wok largely because wow, the advantages you get from a wok, the high sides here, which oh here we go again. That sure didn't take long, did it? Yep, it's back. It's back once again, folks. All right. Chaos detector. Yes, that's that's certainly what you can call it. If you're a certain age, you may think of the Rolling Stones and time is on my side. Run for your lives. Well, this is a fairly common occurrence in my kitchen, fortunately, Mudbrooker. But at this point, excuse me, I am actually just searing the chicken. My intention, once this is seared, I'll do the other batch, and then we will put in the marinade, bring that to a boil, and just gently simmer it until the chicken reaches the right temperature. So it's a little bit different than usually throwing it on the grill or doing it in a cast iron pan. But other than the smoke, and you can hear my coughing from it, I've had good results with this. Gives me an excuse to use a wok as well for something other than just simply Chinese stir fries. Not that there's anything wrong with a Chinese stir fry, but hey, why? I mean, as you know, I want to try different things when possible. You know, instead of like it's time for a wok. Let's break out the wok, which means oh yeah, we're gonna do another stir fry. Let's do some beef and broccoli or some fried rice. But instead, as I said, we are getting jerk chicken tonight. There we go. Now it's starting to settle down once we've gotten past the initial sear. So yeah, this is again. I'm doing this a little bit different, folks. It's not that I'm trying to inspire folks to try something different, but if you do, well, I will certainly appreciate it because that is something and I've said this many times before. Since I learned to cook, good grief, going on almost 15 years ago, one thing that I have been very excited for and continue to be excited for is trying new things. I've learned a lot, made some mistakes, made some learning experiences, but I've experienced a whole lot of new things that again, I'm really glad to have tried. It's because I tried new things. That is where a couple of recipes that I'm very proud of have shown up on my channel, such as the 500-degree Dutch oven chicken. You know, the one that's where you just heat a Dutch oven up to 500 degrees, drop in the chicken, and just simply roast it at 500 for 40 minutes. I tried that because I had seen that recipe for 500-degree skillet chicken, and I wanted to try something different using a Dutch oven, especially so that it won't, excuse me, I'm still getting a cough from this, especially so that it won't splatter grease all over the oven. On the other hand, as you can see, we're getting a nice seared crust on the outside. All right, smoke gets in your lungs. Shit. Yeah, that was a Grateful Dead song, wasn't it? I can't say I'm especially familiar with the Grateful Dead, but there was this movie in the early 1990s called Smoke, in fact. Something going on? Hold on. I'm hearing something. Wait a second, please. Oh, that's all. Okay. Sorry. False alarm, sort of. There is actually a dog visiting here tonight. I think, yeah, he was visiting last week, in fact, but he's visiting here again tonight, too. And I heard him making a sound, and I had to check on him. But anyway, nice walk. Well, thank you very much, Cranky Cletus. Yeah, let's actually talk about cast iron here tonight. Okay, as I mentioned, and I know I've said everything. I don't know if I've said everything that can be said about the Lodge cast iron wok, but there are folks here, I think, who are new to this channel. And besides, I don't mind talking about it. Namely, the fact that this is a 14-inch in diameter cast iron wok made by Lodge Cast Iron. I have used a 12-inch wok, and I found that yes, there is actually a difference between the 12-inch and the 14-inch. Maybe it's because I started out using the 14-inch wok, but I find that the 12-inch wok did not seem to have enough room for me to do everything that I wanted to do. And as a result, I would prefer a 14-inch wok for pretty much excuse me, anything I needed to use. I want to use a wok for. That's that has become my preference. The other, of course, is again, this is a Lodge cast iron wok, which means it is thick and heavy, and that is very different from your typical thin wok. In that I've never learned how to pick up a wok and toss the food around, I'm afraid. I only stir fry it in this manner. Okay, we have done this. Let's put this chicken onto a tray. It is hardly done. I know it is not done on the inside, and as I said, the best is yet to come. Let's scrape off some of this excess. Make sure that the wok gets up to searing temperature again, because we have a few more pieces to go. That's another thing about a nice cast iron wok. I could scrape it like this. You definitely cannot do this with a so-called non-stick wok. That is the big thing about non-stick pans, that I will never use them if possible. It's not because of the fact that they so-called, I mean, people talk about how, toxic effects and all that of using Teflon and other things. And whether or not that's true, the main concern I have with non-stick pans is that simply you can't use metal utensils on them. You will scratch the surface. Let me get that, here it is. And that's not a good thing. Whereas you can use metal utensils on this cast iron wok here, and it will just laugh at it. And that is one big reason why I like using it. Don't have to be gentle. Let me check that temperature once again. We are at just over 400 degrees. So we'll wait, make sure the heat is on good and hot. Wait about a minute or so, and then we'll be able to do the other part of the chicken. And then once we do that, all we'll need to do then is add the marinade. Coated pans are a temporary thing anyway. Yes, I do realize there are uses for nonstick pans. I'm not going to deny that. I prefer the buy it for life thing. Lake Hickory guy, the reason why I purchased a large wok and it's my favorite large piece. Well, thank you very much. Comments like that really, I can only say I very much appreciate them. So thank you. Cranky and I exchanged cast iron presents to each other for a while. Fuzz Fork 8. It doesn't move when you stir your food. There is that, yes. Which means this definitely makes a real stir fry, that's for sure. The thing is that I first learned how to cook in cast iron on an electric stove. I used an electric stove pretty much nonstop for 12 years until I finally moved to my current home here where I actually have a gas stove. But again, I did all my learning how to cook on an electric stove. And that was when I realized that if you have an electric stove, a cast iron wok is actually a necessity because this is the only way you can do a decent stir fry on an electric stove. A thin wok simply will not work. If you use a gas stove, you can use a thin wok, but if you have an electric stove, you absolutely need to use one of these thick and heavy cast iron woks. That is the only way you will get to the right heat and the right temperature to actually sear your food. Yeah, see, we're getting closer now. 470, 480. To sear your food and get to the temperature to get that wok hay, the smoky, mystical taste that a good stir fry will get you. And so, yes, I have been using this particular wok now for just over 14 years since I first acquired it in January of 2011. It has rarely left my stove. And if there was any cast iron piece that they were going to bury me with, it might be this wok. Cranky's mother has a real nice wood burning stove. Well, that's good too. That means I'm certain he gets a lot of use out of it. If you own a wood cook stove, you need a big large wok. The two are made for each other, which is interesting since I don't think the Lodge made made this wok for very long. I mean, at least a couple of decades or more, but I don't believe it was one of their vintage pieces. However, as you can see, this thing is definitely getting nice and hot, which means now comes round 2. A little bit more olive oil. Don't need to use a lot. Oops. Again, I don't want to spill the olive oil. Spread it around. If people make joke videos showing all of my coughing as this wok smokes up, feel free to do so. It's just a natural effect, unfortunately. It probably demonstrates how I am not a professional cook, but I think that makes me like about 90% of the other people who cook in cast iron. So I would not be embarrassed by that. Okay, here we go again with number 2. Only 3 more pieces of chicken anyway. And in fact, once this is seared up, we're not even going to have to take this chicken out. We can just add the marinade and then bring it to a boil. And that's going to be pretty much it. So really nothing to it. Here comes the smoke again in my coughing. Also, and I've said this before too, if you do this yourself, not on live video like I'm doing, you'll probably have this done in half the time that it's taking me to do it. Excuse me. Yeah. You'll probably have this done in half the time that it's taking me to do this. Because I'm taking my time here, doing this for you on video, as well as talking and talking and talking and talking. So even though in my case it has been almost an hour, it is 10 minutes of 9, that would mean in your case, you would probably be at this point after probably less than 30 minutes. So this would not take long at all for you, which I hope is another reason to encourage you to give this a try. I am definitely not presenting this as the absolute best cooking video ever for making jerk chicken. What I am presenting you is myself having fun cooking in a cast iron wok. And hopefully the end results will be good enough that my new family, who I've talked about, should also be satisfied with this. Because they are of Jamaican descent, and so they will be able to judge much better than me as to the authenticity of this jerk chicken. This is looking pretty good already. It's really only got to take a few minutes because, like I said, all I'm doing, really more than anything else, is searing the outside. The whole point here is I'm going to add the marinade, bring that to a boil, bubble, bubble, toil and trouble, or double, toil and trouble, actually, but, get it all bubbling. And that will thoroughly cook the chicken so that it will be safe to eat. Because indeed, I do know, and it was the same way with me, again, when I first started cooking, is that it can be difficult to end up with chicken that is, you have to be sure you have chicken that is cooked on the inside as well as the outside. And for that, there are two tools that I highly recommend. One, of course, is a cooking thermometer, because that way, after you have simmered the chicken, you can just test it with a thermometer and make sure it has reached the proper temperature on the inside. At least 165. Since I'm doing dark meat, I want to try to bring this up to 180 at least. The other tool that you absolutely need is patience. Even though, as I said, it will probably take you about half the time that it's taking me to cook this chicken, you still have to consider that. In these days of instant gratification, air fryers and all that, you have to consider that it does still take some time to properly cook chicken. So have a little patience at least, and it will definitely pay off. Because when was the last time you bought jerk chicken from KFC? Heck, I can't even think of jerk chicken at Popeyes, so-called Cajun chicken. And jerk chicken is definitely an experience that you do want to try for yourself. All right. What I loved about the large cast iron bread pans, the baked bread fell right out of the pan, no sticking. Yeah, even though I've barely done any bread making, I've done a fair amount of pizza making, but I don't think I've had a single instance where my bread has stuck in a bare cast iron loaf pan. So I don't know if I'm just lucky or if it is simply that easy, which is probably more likely, that even though you can certainly, most of those videos for baking bread do show an enameled Dutch oven or other cooking or other bread cast iron cooking pot, but you can definitely make world class bread, whatever kind of bread you're making, in bare cast iron, and it'll last forever. You can use metal utensils on it. You won't wear out or scratch or damage the enamel because there is no enamel. And yeah, that is really why I highly recommend, and even though there is a learning curve involved, if you are going to learn how to cook in cast iron, learn how to cook in a bare cast iron pan, whether it's a skillet or a wok or a Dutch oven or a loaf pan. Go ahead and get a bare cast iron one. It'll probably be less expensive than the enameled one too. And once you learn how to do that, you pretty much have the world at your feet. Didn't mean to chase Greg away. Oh, and I don't think he'll take it personally, Cranky Cletus. Not to worry. Funny you said that. Halloween will be here before you know it. Oh yeah. You know what I saw today? My very first Spirit Halloween store of the year. Yep. It's the end of July and I saw a Spirit Halloween store. Yeah. I posted a picture on my personal Facebook. I have not yet posted it on my, on my Cast Iron Chaos Facebook. I probably should. And you know what I should do now? I think I should add the marinade. I do believe we are at that point. So, where did that spatula go? I just had it. Here it is. In we go. And bam. So now essentially we're going to be braising this chicken. And for that matter, here's the bowl from the original chicken. So no need to waste this. Let's put this in too. And yes, I know it has the liquid from the uncooked chicken. Well, that's exactly what we're doing. We're bringing all this to a boil. So everything is going to be cooked. Yeah. And now finally, here are the other 4 pieces of chicken. Whoops, don't drop it. Here are the other 4 pieces of chicken. Plop. And with that, oh man, can I smell this now? Huh. I am smelling all those spices. I'm smelling the cinnamon, smelling the ginger. Got a really fresh taste to it. There's flavor, I should say. I'm debating whether I should cover this wok or just let it bubble uncovered. In fact, I think I'll ask for your advice, folks. Should I cover this wok or no? All right, let's see what he says here. Okay. Well, thank you again for the comment there, Val, as well. I make bread almost every day in a large loaf pan. I've been thinking of getting a large wok in the bunt pan. Is it still almost 500 degrees? Actually, I probably should turn the temperature down a little bit. I'm pretty sure that adding all of that liquid in that marinade has probably lowered the temperature. So I really doubt that it is anywhere close to 500 degrees. The surface of the pan may be, but the liquid definitely not. If you'll notice, it is only just barely bubbling at this point. So I have not turned it down to low, in fact. I have it about halfway right now on the stovetop burner. I have it set to about halfway. And regrettably, my family are out tonight. Otherwise, I'd really want them to be able to try this chicken. It'd be nice to break bread with Giasone. Yes, cover, save the liquid. Okay. That was easy. And there we go. Oh, yeah, one other thing, which even though I've repeated this too, and this is pretty much basics for anybody who does regular wok cooking, I will point it out nonetheless. Notice this cover does not sit on the rim of the wok. It is about an inch, maybe an inch and a half below the rim. That is intentional. That is how wok covers are designed. It gives a better seal to seal in the moisture, prevent steam from escaping, as well as less of a risk, really, of tipping it over. So this is the proper way to get a cover to sit in a cast iron wok. I can already feel the heat here on top. And in fact, with that, I can probably turn the heat down a little bit now so that it'll only be just about low heat. All right. Honey badger, it's been so hot here. Last year I got 20 plus pumpkins from one plant. This year I have 3 from 2. Yeah, well, my condolences, and I certainly understand. I just grow hot peppers. Yeah, I know. It's hot weather, so just grow hot peppers. Yeah. Nana calls me Jason. Oh, I get it. Italian for Jason. Rocket Caver, we use the large fluted cake pan a lot. You will love it. It's been a while since I made a cake in my large cake pan, hasn't it? I think I'm probably going to have to put that on the agenda pretty soon. Next week, of course, is once again. Here it is again. I think he needs some water. I hear just the dog is making some noises, but he might be from the smoke as well. Excuse me. Hunter, come here. Come here. All right. Anyway, where was I? Oh yeah. Next week is the first Wednesday of the month, and that's when I usually have a cast iron Q&A session. We're getting into August, so then it wouldn't be a bad idea to make a cake, especially since the middle of August is my 3-year anniversary here in my new home. So I'm happy about that. It was 105 at 11 a.m. here in Houston. Ouch. Again, my condolences, Jimmy Langford. Hope you have a decent AC, that's for sure. I would cover for a while, then uncover. All right. Well, I've had it covered for a couple of minutes anyway. I'll give it about another minute or so, and then we'll see how it looks. Do pumpkin cake. I love pumpkin cake. I've got a recipe for a chocolate chip pumpkin spice cake that I definitely plan to make again this coming fall. It's been so dry that even the weeds are struggling. All right. But anyway, that has been the point of doing this jerk chicken tonight. As I said, making a different use for a cast iron wok. And yeah, take a look now. Oh, this thing is definitely bubbling nicely, that's for sure. It's really only a matter of cooking it until it's done. Let me dig out my probe thermometer. I mean, I'm skeptical that it's already done, but who knows? Currently, if I stick this in to this thigh, it shows, oh yeah, it is only at about 115 degrees. So that means, yeah, we do have a ways to go yet. Just have to boil it now or simmer it until it reaches the right temperature. From the looks of that, I would guess maybe 10, 15 minutes, I hope. All right. And yeah, you contribute to my problem, Jason. Well, I can only say I will gladly take credit for that. I'm trying not to brag, so let me say it another way. I would love to see more cast iron bunt pan videos on YouTube. I mean, I realize that if you go onto YouTube right now and you look for videos about baking in a cast iron bunt pan, most of the videos, not all of them, most of them will be on my channel. And yeah, I'm glad about that. I put a lot of effort into those videos, but I would like to see uh, other people's uh, cooking in a cast iron bundt pan as well. Largely because I like using the I like using the method of preheating the bundt pan. I have had a lot of success with that. Most folks don't do that. Most folks do the old regular method of simply spraying the you know what out of it with cooking cooking spray, or otherwise greasing and flouring their pan. And I would like to see videos showing their results. I mean, I can only hope that they have really good results that way. The reason why I do my videos that way, or my cakes that way, as I said, I again heat them. I preheat the bundt pan because I found it to be a successful method. It's not 100% successful. I have had failures that way too, but I've had a lot of success using that method. How much longer until Stumpy returns? Well, as soon as I get him out of the lye bath, and then season him in the oven. Part of the problem is that we've had this heat wave. And so because of that, I've been kind of reluctant to spend like half a day heating my oven up to 400 degrees or more to season cast iron 3 or 4 times. As much as I want to get Stumpy out and get him cooking, there is that it does take some time to properly season the cast iron, and it's yeah, gonna heat up the home. Mr. R always preheats her cake pan. Mrs. R, huh? Oh, I see. Rarely has sticking problems. Well, again, I'm glad to hear that. But this again is why I'm I would be more than happy to see other cast iron bundt pan videos. You still cooking? Well, I'm still scrubbing. This weather moving in. Cynthia Wesley. Hello, Cynthia Wesley. Well, if you're peeping in for a moment here, peep on this. We have chicken here, currently, as you can see, simmering in marinade. And this marinade is a jerk marinade. It's only a matter, really, of waiting until the chicken is done, and that's about it. But things are doing nicely, that's for sure. And I'm pleased to say that I can see my eyes are not killing me. That means I did not make a mistake and get the residue from that Scotch bonnet in my eye. Thank goodness. On the other hand, especially since it's so hot, I think I will actually do something I have not done very often on my live videos. Ugh. And that is have some water. I mean, especially since I was coughing earlier from that smoke. Ugh. Gotta stay hydrated in this weather. All right. There we go. Cheers. L'chaim. Oh, that felt good. All right. How hot is it? Well, we have not hit 100 degrees here in New York. Actually, I think we might have hit it briefly one day so far this summer. We have been in the 90s fairly regularly. So we are not as hot as it has been down there, down south. But it's been hot enough, that's for sure. So yeah, we're doing our best to keep cool as well. The thing is, it's only been like this for about 2 months here in New York. I have to keep reminding myself that it was at the beginning of June that I finally turned off the heating in my home. I mean, really, it kept getting down to like the 50s and the 40s all the way through April and May, at night, that is. So as a result, I kept having to turn the heat on at night. Till finally, just around the beginning of June, it finally hit to the point where I could turn the heat off and kept it off. So it's only been like this for less than 2 months. And what's more, we probably only have about another 2 to 3 months before it'll be time to turn the heat on again. So, despite the fact that it has been so hot, here I go, take some more water. Despite the fact that it has been so hot, I'm definitely doing what I can to enjoy this weather, despite the fact that I'm hot and sweaty. Because, again, only a few months from now, we will wish we were still hot and sweaty. The weather breaks here on Saturday down to 82 degrees. Weather sucks, buffering bad too. I'm sorry to hear that, Cynthia. Check the chicken. Is it getting dry? Okay, let's turn back to the chicken here. Well, that is why I was told to cover it, that's for sure. Mm. Oh, I'm definitely getting a nice smell, if nothing else, whenever I take the lid off. So I do like that. Oops, there we go again. Let's see if there's been any change in the temperature. 135, 36. So yeah, whoops. So definitely the chicken has probably jumped about 20 degrees or so in just the last couple of minutes. At that rate, once again, I'd have to say it will likely be done with, oh, there we go. It will likely be done maybe in about 10 minutes or so, I think, because I want to try to hit somewhere between 175 and 180. So we're not doing too badly. I'll never wish for this Louisiana heat ever. Don't rush summer. You don't have to scrape heat off the windshield. Yes, exactly. That's the thing. You don't have to shovel the driveway. You just have to mow the lawn. That's all. And that's the last of that water. The heat has slowed all of us down. You're telling me, Fuzz Fork. Between that and family drama, which I don't get into and I'm still not getting into here on YouTube, but things are doing better. I mean, that's one reason why I've finally been trying to commit myself to doing at least a short video each day, as well as this is now the third regular week again of having cast iron Wednesdays. So I'm glad at least I'm trying to keep something of a more regular schedule. But things are doing not so bad as well. I will be able to provide more detail once things have finally settled down here. So far, with any luck, that should not be much longer. I just get the tractor out and blade the driveway. Yeah. Well, at least, well, yeah, you have a tractor, so that's something. No rice to go with this? I actually forgot to make rice. I've been concentrating so much on the chicken. I should definitely put some rice as well together to go with that. One member of my family, she just tried making basmati rice for the first time last night, and she fell in love with it. So, well, again, I'm glad I got her to try something different. But yes, I do agree that we do need some rice to go along with this. Anyway, well, as I've said, since we have been cooking, since I've been using this cast iron wok here again tonight, and I'm quite happy about that. Um, I should mention, I suppose, that large cast iron has made woks of other shapes. Although I am quite happy with this one here, the Pro Logic one that has that has handles rather than one long handle. Especially because this is such a thick and heavy wok. I mean, a long handle in that case really. I mean, while you can hold the wok as you actually stir your chicken or stir your food, that is, you certainly can't pick up the wok and toss it the way you can with a lighter wok. Still time to start the rice. All right, we could certainly consider that. So that means let's do to do that. I'm going to have to move a couple of things because I did actually have a couple of dishes here in the sink. And I'm going to have to clean that up now, which I guess is what we will do. All right. Let's move over to the sink then. Careful. You don't want to pull out the cord, and which would end up killing the video, as I've found out. Like I said, there's residue from from everything that I've done so far tonight. So the first thing we're going to have to do is clean all this out. Well, that means this out of the way. Clean out this strainer. Oh, yuck. Boy, does this look great. And now, a bit of soap. Clean out the sink, which at least is not too difficult. All right. There we go. And it's necessary to clean out the sink because, of course, you have to wash your rice. I've already gone over that recently. There we go. Sink is much cleaner now, especially since I'm not going to be putting the rice directly in the sink. All I have to do now dig out a bowl and my trusty strainer. All right, spiral potato. Oh yeah, I know, lamb mold. I've been living with frozen bottles of water, using them like a reverse hot water bottle. This really needs rice. Well, that's why we are going to take care of that. Especially since actually it really does not require that much effort, thank goodness, to make rice. Just have to be sure I have enough available right at this moment here. Okay. All right. Time to break out some jasmine rice. Time to break out another cup. While I do have plenty of rice in the bag, in this container here, hopefully I have at least a couple of cups. I think we'll be good. Here's 1 cup. And here is 2 cups. Oh, tiny bit more. And there we go, 2 cups of rice. So that should be plenty. Which means, once again, go through my method here of washing my rice. I've said this before, I kind of, taught myself to wash my rice out this way. And the reason why I do this, even though it does require more hand movements and more effort, it also saves the water because I'm reserving the water here instead of just simply letting it flow down the drain, which means, there we go. This gives me the chance to properly wash out the rice for the first time. And we have a ways to go yet. That was only the first time. That was 1. Here's 2. I'm sure if somebody wants to improve on my method for washing rice, please feel free to do so. And I'm pretty sure I just said this only last week. I still don't use a rice cooker because even with a rice cooker, you still have to wash the rice out yourself. I don't believe they sell rice cookers that will also wash the rice. Although I bet if they design one, well, one, it would probably cost a couple of $100 at least because it would have to have a water pump installed in it. But it certainly would be convenient, I would think. You know, you put in dry rice, it washes it as well as cooks it. However, this really does not take much effort nonetheless. So far, I'm already at try number 3 here. And as you can see, this rice is definitely getting closer to being washed because now you can actually see the rice down here. The water is much, much less cloudy. So we're just about done at this point. I usually do it 4 times just to be sure the rice is thoroughly washed. Which means this is the last time, so we're already at that point. So yeah, thank you for the incentive to make some rice. Because after all, once this rice is there in the pot, it's pretty much going to be set it and forget it. And here we go. At this point, our rice is definitely washed. So that takes care of that. All right. All right. Now that we've done that, that means I get to bring out once again the good old Wagner aluminum Dutch oven. Well, Magnolite. Here it is. Magnolite is actually an alloy of magnesium and aluminum, hence the name Magnolite. But it still has all the properties of aluminum, including being a wonderful rice cooker. Don't want to drop that. In goes the rice. Plop. As you can see, there's practically no sticking. It's another reason why I like washing the rice out. And to this, we did 2 cups of rice, which means now all we have to do are 3 cups of water, 2 and 3. So here's 1, here's 2, and 3. Even though traditionalists say you don't have to measure it this way, apparently it just has to go up to your knuckle or something like that if you use your finger. This way still works just fine for me. And there we go. Now we just move back over to the stovetop. Put the rice, put the pot on uncovered, turn on the heat, and wait until the rice comes to a boil. Then we cover it and simmer it until done. Meanwhile, we can now return to the chicken. All right. We end up with 2 of those. We use them a lot. Oh, yeah. Leftover rice is great for rice pudding. There is that too. However, however, my new family, as I've talked about already, they love rice. They go through rice like crazy, and there is rarely any leftover rice. But I will have to make rice pudding for them at some point soon. All right. Let's dig out this thermometer again. Good thing this is a wooden handle here on top. Oh, yeah. We have just passed here 189. Even this one here still says 176. 174. This one's starting to come apart. I do believe we're at the point where the chicken is done. I think I'll keep it covered anyway to keep it moist, but I have turned off the heat. So the chicken is done. That means once the rice is done, we'll be done. So I will I think I'll keep us all here until we cover the rice. And at that point, we'll be able to call it an evening because there we go. Yeah, actually, let's do another look here. And I should probably take a picture anyway of our jerk chicken. All right. All right. So far, so good. Oh, yes. Haha. Okay. Because this is the age of the internet, let's get a couple of photos in, shall we? Because, this really doesn't, I have to say again, this does not look that appetizing, but boy, is it ever tasty. All right. And there is a cover photo for tonight's video as well. All right. Bubbles. Bubbles, my bubbles, my bubbles. And the rice is ready. No, the chicken is ready. And once the rice comes to a boil, as I said, we will be calling it a night. All right. That's how I spelled it. My phone didn't like it. So anyway, there we go. We used a cast iron wok to make jerk chicken tonight. And I have little doubt that the results are going to be satisfactory. All I have to do is wait for my family to try it and see what they think. And I'm definitely looking forward to that. Meanwhile, once again, as you said, we will have more rice. And there we go. That means we're definitely going to have chicken. If not tonight, we will definitely have chicken tomorrow. Which, again, with all this hot weather going, I'm sure nobody will complain that I did the cooking tonight and they're not going to have to cook tomorrow. Hello, Ronald Coward. I don't think I've seen you here tonight, so thank you very much for showing up. We are at just about that time anyway. As I said, I'm really just waiting for this rice to come to a boil, which is probably going to happen within a couple of minutes or so, I think. Because again, this is an aluminum Dutch oven, which I've found already to be the world's greatest water boiler. And that's another reason why I am looking forward to restoring, well, still trying to restore, I should say, this other aluminum Dutch oven that I found over the weekend. Let's do one more shot of this. Here is the original lid from this very old Wagner Dutch oven. Hello to, I don't say to people's names here. I don't give people's names on the internet, but the chicken is ready at this point. It is hot. I'm preparing some rice as well, but if you want to try a piece of it, feel free. It's jerk chicken. All right. Anyway, I have no doubt that this would actually fit just fine, and it does fit just fine as well on the newer Magnolite, so that's something as well. Maybe even if I can't restore the pot, I could always use the lid. However, you suggested using carbon off. I may give that a try, but I'm seriously thinking of breaking out the E-tank and trying my luck in putting this aluminum pan into electrolysis. Either way, I certainly hope I can get this thing restored so that even though this is an older Wagner Dutch oven, there will at least be a lot more use. It'll be able to get at least another generation's worth of use out of it. All right, I know a watched pot never boils, so I just need to have some patience. Try carbon off. Electrolysis not good for aluminum. I've heard about that. But when I've looked this up, I have not seen a lot of details about the effect that electrolysis can have on aluminum. Supposedly, electrolysis could damage it, but I haven't seen many results of that. I wouldn't do that. Okay. Hmm. It's not the same, though. I will say this. You know how everybody talks about using stainless steel in electrolysis, and then they always come up with that chemical that is created. I should know this by now. The chemical made with stainless steel and electrolysis, but there's been no mention of it happening with aluminum. I got a dirty old Dutch oven from my mom. I'll be interested to see how that turns out. I've never cooked in it. Okay, what is carbon off? Yeah. Apparently it's two words, carbon off, and apparently you can order it from industrial suppliers. Electrolysis destroys aluminum, try lye. Yeah, cute. we know that lye also destroys aluminum. So no, we can't do that. Yeah, that's it. Hexchrome. Hexavalent chromium. That's right. That's what it was called. Yeah. But no, that's not created with aluminum. On the other hand, apparently you're saying that electrolysis could still damage this pot anyway. Okay. Well, then I'm going to have to try that, like you said, especially since I've already tried easy off and I've tried, oh, it's boiling. I've already tried easy off and I've tried barkeeper's friend, and neither of them really had much of an effect on this thing. But that is going to have to be my project for the next couple of days. Let's turn this, let's cover it, turn it down, and now we just simmer until the rice is done. And with that, here's one more look. I did turn off the heat a few minutes ago. Here's another look at our jerk chicken. And having said that, I do believe we have accomplished what we wanted to accomplish tonight. We played with more cast iron tonight. Tonight was Wok Wednesday, and I'm really glad to have been able to use the cast iron wok for something other than a Chinese stir fry. Because again, I want to try to get as much use out of my cast iron as possible. And the best way to do that is, of course, to rotate through my collection and to keep trying new things. So now the result is we've got some jerk chicken and we're going to be having some rice tonight. So we're going to be eating well. And I can only hope that, as always, it's been entertaining enough for you folks to watch along. I mean, I do appreciate all of the comments. This is really what makes this so much fun. And thank you again, as William Hurt says, yeah, fun chat and stay safe. Thank you for inviting us into your kitchen. And thank you very much for coming into my kitchen. And I can only hope I've done my best to entertain you, and so that you haven't left my kitchen prematurely, and especially so that you may be interested in joining us again next week, because that is indeed what we're going to be doing. Next week is the first Wednesday of August. Yes, it's August. August is coming. And that means the first Wednesday of the month is a cast iron Q&A discussion. So that means I'm not going to have to turn on my hot oven, thank goodness. Instead, this is the one where I get to stand there and you throw questions at me, and I do my best to answer them. And that includes with help from you folks. So that's always a lot of fun, though. We always have a lively discussion, and I'm definitely looking forward to having another one next week. But for now, though, I can only thank everybody who's been kind enough to be here tonight. Poor chicken, what did it ever do to you? Oh, well, that's easy. I bought it at the store. That's what it did to me. And so I'm definitely more than happy to sink my teeth into its flesh. I'm not interested in guilt trips, and I know you're just joking anyway. But yeah, no, I have no problem at all with being a carnivore. That's what nature intended for us to be. All right. But thank you again. Yes, Val Black, it balked at him. Great cast, and thank you. And well, I hope you like it as well. On go Gablogen. Because as you saw, it was really easy to do. You simmer you marinate the chicken in the jerk sauce. You just simply heat it up in a hot cast iron pan. And then in my case, I added marinade, and we just simply, we boiled it in the marinade until it was done. And now we get to try the results. So thank you very much, Ongo, for being here, as well as for Clico. And for, well, it really wasn't that much effort. Probably the hardest part was simply being at this hot stove in this hot weather. But then again, that's something we're all putting up with. So thank you as well to Clico, and thank you to Val's Black Cat's Rule, and thank you to Ronald Coward, and Dean Reedy, and R.T. Scott, Greg Hart, Jimmy Langford, and a good night to everybody as well. Thank you to everybody who has been kind enough to show up here. As always, they like to say like, subscribe, and share, because well, besides the fact that it does make me some revenue, even though I don't live on it, more importantly, having everybody here in these live videos is really what makes them so much fun. And that's really one reason why I love, probably the biggest reason why I love doing these live videos. So thank you to everybody who's been kind enough to show up tonight. And we'll be doing it all again next week. So enjoy your Wednesday evening. Let's all get through the rest of the weekend, the weekend, and have some fun and keep cool and keep safe. And so once again, see you next Wednesday.